In the mid-19th century, gold was discovered in Australia. The Chinese were among those who went in droves across the seas to this then mysterious land. And those who did make their fortunes there named Australia New Gold Mountain. The gold rush moved Australia toward becoming a modern nation and establishing herself as a country rich in natural resources. The Chinese were prominent in all areas of gold mining, with a male-to-female ratio of 4,000 to 1.
Quite early 1800s, Chinese migration contributed quite significantly to the development of the country.
The 200 years of history of Australia is inseparable from the great effort of the Chinese, who dedicated their lives to the development of Australia by mining gold under extreme hardship. Now, after many generations of marriages with Westerners, there are around 1,000 families holding fast to their ancestral Chinese family names.
Dad is full Chinese, and my mum is half, but I don't look like it.
Total amount of gold brought back in bank checks to China in 1857 was 205,464 ounces, about $337 million in current value. Well on their way back to Ararat, a group of Chinese discovered the Canton Stream, and within 6 months uncovered 5 tons of gold.
We're the only town in Australia that was founded by the Chinese.
There are thousands of Chinese miners buried in 5 cemeteries in Bendigo alone.
And most of the people buried here were under the age of 40. Graves are built on the side of a hill. We have the shadows behind us where they face the east, and they also face their homeland.
Despite experiencing unfair treatment, the Chinese contributed generously in all areas.
In 1857, they donated £100 to help build the very first hospital.
Today, Bendigo's Chinese Easter Carnival is one of the largest in the Southern Hemisphere.
In 2011, the city of Ballarat, together with the Chinese community, had a very special event. The raising of the Chinese national flag on their National Day was the first time it had been done in Ballarat. It really strengthened the relationship between ourselves and the Chinese community and paid respect for the traditions, the shared history the city of Ballarat and the Chinese community have developed together.
And on August 16, 2012, the House of Representatives unanimously passed the motion by John Alexander, Member of Federal Parliament, to commend the Chinese contribution to Australia. Today, the Chinese come to Australia for trade and investment, following in the footsteps of early Chinese business leader Mei Quong-tat. China is Australia's largest trading partner, with bilateral trade volume increasing 1,000-fold since the establishment of diplomatic relations in 1972.
But China is participating more and more in the world and is obviously enormously important to Australia as a major market for Australian products.
As the global economic crisis was beginning in 2009, MMG from China Minmetals Limited showed social responsibility when it recruited even more employees to add to its original 2,000.
Most of the employees were retained, and it has continued to grow in the Western arena. We continue to sell under long-term contracts to Europe and Australian and Asian companies. So in fact, it wasn't a direct transfer of materials purely into China.
While some 56% of Australians express concern at there being too much Chinese investment in Australian resources, China actually ranks 13th and represents only 1% of total foreign investment. The great outcome of the development of the bilateral trade today is achieved by the joint efforts and common aspiration of both governments and people of the two countries. Australia's wine sales in China are increasing 20% annually. Sunshine Winery is the first vineyard developed by Chinese investment in the Yarra Valley. 90,000 bottles have been exported to China in 2012, and 1 million bottles will be made in 2013. Australia's sunshine and climate ensures better wine. I want to blend the Australian wine lifestyle and Chinese culture together. Private entrepreneur Simon Yan started his business by importing garlic. Today, his company is listed on the Australian Stock Exchange. In 1990, Jeff Xu was 21 years old when he took over his father's roast duck restaurant in Chinatown. Today he owns 8 restaurants and a 5-star hotel. The cultural exchanges between Australia and Chinese have grown vigorously, and the two countries have become important partners in science and technology. Hundreds of activities have been organised this year for the Year of the Chinese Culture, which has brought great enjoyment to Australian people. There are 170,000 Chinese students at the peak time, and China has become the largest source country for Australia's international students. In 2012, more than 1 million Chinese tourists arrived in Australia. Australia is considered #1 in terms of natural resources, which are eagerly sought after. China continues to refer to her as New Gold Mountain, and with a population 56 times that of Australia's, China is herself the new Gold Mountain for Australia.